Today I'm going to share my top fashion photography lingo, the 15 terms that you need to know when getting into the industry. Hi everybody, I'm Lindsay Adler, and when I first got started in fashion photography, when I tried to get into the industry, there were more than a few instances where I felt left out and amateur and just like I didn't have a clue, and it's because I didn't know the lingo. In fact, I was actually looking at some old emails yesterday, and I was talking to this model's agent. We were emailing back and forth, and they asked me to send over the mood board and the call sheet. And I had no idea what they were talking about, and it was obvious. But now, well over a decade later, I have the insider tips. Now, does it make you a better photographer to know the lingo? Obviously not, but it does help you communicate with people in the industry. It helps you feel like you're on the inside rather than the outside looking in. And so in today's video, I'm going to let you know all about the lingo that I find most useful to understand and to communicate with when you first jump into fashion photography. Call sheets. A call sheet is an overview of all the shoot's details that's sent out before the shoot day. So it includes things like the location of the shoot, contact information for the creatives involved or the clients. It also includes call and wrap times. Now, a call time is when someone's supposed to show up for the shoot, and then the wrap time is when their part of the shoot is over. On bigger shoots, the call times are often staggered based on a person's job. Now, I try to send out a call sheet roughly about a day or two in advance, and then I also send one the evening before, so it's at the top of somebody's email. Mood boards. A mood board is a collection of images used to communicate the direction of the shoot. It's how you talk with your creative team, how you share your vision with a publication or your client. It acts as the visual roadmap because it's going to be the references to show what you're trying to achieve visually. So these images, they do not need to be your own, but you can source them from anything. Books, Pinterest, Instagram, magazines, you name it. Now, as you put together your mood board, you can include a few photos that are the overall vibe of the shoot, and then you can get specific. For example, have clothing references, hair and makeup inspiration, and more. Now, I find on editorial jobs, my references can be a little bit more vague. It's a rough overview, but on commercial jobs, I plan out every detail for every look. Now, mood boards can be simple, just create it in Photoshop, but I often use a program called Canva because it's a free graphic design website that has many templates for mood boards. Pull letters. A pull letter is provided by a publication to help a wardrobe stylist be able to borrow clothing from different designers and showrooms. So basically, the pull letter has the information of the photographer and the wardrobe stylist and all the details about the shoot. And so it's basically letting the company or the brand know where the images will be published. And that way the designer or the showroom could decide if they want to be involved and then what pieces that they choose to have available for that shoot. Now, some publications, it's a limited number, but some will provide something called a letter of responsibility. And basically, they take financial responsibility if the clothing is damaged or lost. Now, as a photographer, you may have a designer ask you for an LOR, and basically what they're saying is, what do you do to protect me if something happens to my one-of-a-kind pieces? Test shoot. A test shoot is an unpaid shoot where the entire team is working together collaboratively to test out a concept. Usually they're just trying to build their portfolio. Now, the idea is that everyone on the shoot works for trade. In other words, they're working for the resulting images because they can use these images on their website, social media, self-promotion, and to try out new techniques. Now, if you reach out to an agency and you're looking for models for a test, the implication is that the models aren't going to be paid. Now, if the agency asks, like, is there a rate for the shoot? I mean, that's up to you, but typically what you say is you reference the number of retouched images you're going to provide in exchange for that model's time. Camera ready. Now, if you tell a model to be camera ready for a shoot, it basically means that they should show up with their hair and makeup done, ready to shoot. Now, this is appropriate if you're doing a test shoot or something that doesn't really have a budget. But on the other side, conversely, you could tell a model to come clean, which means that they should arrive to the shoot with no product in their hair, no makeup on their face. This is implying that you are going to be providing the hair and makeup for the shoot day. Fashion editorial and tear sheet. A fashion editorial is a series of images that usually tells some sort of visual story and is printed or showcased in a magazine. Editorials are typically unpaid, 99% of them, for example, or they are created at a rate that is much lower than commercial standards. The compensation for the shoot is the resulting tear sheets. Now, a tear sheet is the actual page from the magazine, or maybe it's another job. It shows the model and the team's work in print. Tear sheets are often put in the back of a model's portfolio or on a photographer's websites. Tear sheets can be delivered as PDFs, particularly for international or online publications. Now, when images are published from an editorial, you're basically treating them as self-promotion. It's your way to stay on top of relevant trends and be in important publications. A lookbook shoot showcases a designer's most recent collection or line of clothing for the season. These images will be used on their website, but it'll also be sent out to fashion editors and potential buyers to showcase the clothing. Now, typically in the past, these images were no frills, kind of catalog-like. They'd be shot from the front, the side, and the back, but more recently, there's been a little bit more creativity introduced into these shoots because it showcased the brand as well as the clothing. Booker or booking agent. This is the person at the modeling agency that helps to manage a model's schedule, their invoicing, their booking jobs, and more, all of those things. Now, agents often have different bookers for different types of boards, or basically categories of models. So for example, there could be one booker in charge of men, another one in charge of new faces, a different one specifically for the fitness models. Bookers help a model's career. Model package. When a model agency sends you a package of models, they're sending you a digital gallery of the models you can select for your shoot. This could be for a test shoot, or it could be a paid commercial project. Now, in this package, they'll have the model's measurements, their digitals, and a selection of images from their portfolio. Digitals or Polaroids. These images are meant to showcase the subject as a canvas. They are straightforward with no retouching, minimal hair and makeup, just super simple styling. Now, in the past, these were done with a Polaroid camera, hence Polaroids, but now they're usually just taken with a phone, and this is why they call them digitals. They're typically shot against a plain background, simple natural light, and they show the subject from the front to the side and 3/4. I always check the digitals before booking a model because I want to see what they look like before the photography and before the retouching. Casting and go-sees. When a model shows up to interview for a job, the idea is that you get to see the model in person before booking them on a shoot. This is a casting. This often involves a couple maybe basic shots or poses. Now, nowadays, the shoots can be done in person or they can be done virtually. This is a great opportunity to see how a subject moves, how their skin looks like without retouching, how they interact with the camera. It's really important to have a casting before a commercial job. Now, go-see is like a casting, but it doesn't have to be tied to a specific job. It could just be your chance to interact with a model. And that helps you get an idea of who you may want to book for future editorials, test shoots, and commercial shoots. Agency fee. The agency fee is an additional percentage that a modeling agency takes on top of the model's rate. So typically there's a day rate that is provided for the model to be there for up to 8 hours. And then on top of that, there's an additional 20% fee, usually, that is paid to the agent. So when you're providing a rate for a job, be sure to specify if this rate is plus agency fee or inclusive of agency fee, which means basically here's the rate all in, including the agent's fee. New faces and development models. These are the models that are newer to an agency. Typically, they have less experience. They are placed in this category because the agency wants to develop them, to develop their portfolio, to change the direction of their career. Now, typically, these models are more likely to be available for test shoots or available for lower rates when budgets are tight. This doesn't mean that they're a bad model. It just means that they're learning or they're a work in progress. I mean, sometimes an agency will actually rebrand a model, and so they put them into development because maybe they're moving more towards a commercial look or an editorial look, and then eventually they'll be back on a main board. Voucher, aka billing form. Now, at the end of a shoot, a model may ask you to sign a voucher. Basically, this summarizes the hours of the shoot, the rate of the shoot, and it's basically an approved invoice for the model to then give to the agency, and then the agency then invoices you for the day. Some agencies require a voucher for every model for every shoot, and others don't, but it can be really useful if there's overtime because you're showing that, yes, I see this overtime, I agree to this rate. Front of book and comp card shot. A comp card is like a model's business card, only it's bigger. Typically, it's somewhere around 5.5 to 8.5, and on this comp card, it includes the model's measurements, their agency, and other relevant details. It tends to be that on a comp card, there's one lead shot on the front. And this is also the image that usually starts off a model's physical portfolio, which is why it's also called front of book. Now, more often than not, comp card images are really simple. They're clean lighting, simple hair and makeup. It's meant to showcase the model rather than showing off a particular hair and makeup look. Anytime that I do a test shoot with a model, I always start off the day with a front of book shot because this allows me to create some images that right off the bat are helpful to both the model and the agency, and then after that I can get a little bit more creative and experiment with other techniques. I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown of the essential fashion photography lingo, and now maybe you feel a little bit more like you can talk the talk. Now, if you are interested in fashion photography, you can join me at one of my fashion photography intensives. You can find more details in the links below. You can also check out my monthly membership platform, Learn Plus, for the episode on model portfolio shoots. And of course, if you want to see a lot more behind the scenes and educational tips, be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time, guys.